Imagine a metropolis being built and transformed, all within a single glass jar on your windowsill. Welcome to the invisible world. Today, we are looking at something microbiologists call a hay infusion. It is a foundational tool in biology labs. By brewing what is essentially a room temperature microbe tea, we can observe the hidden forces that govern our planet's aquatic ecosystems. Building this miniature ecosystem allows us to watch complex global ecological processes play out right in front of us without needing a textbook full of academic jargon. To set this up, you need a small glass jar, a loose cover, some dried plant matter like hay, Spanish moss, or herbs, and a natural water source like pond or creek water. If you have to use municipal tap water, you must let it sit uncovered for about 24 hours. The chlorine used in tap water kills bacteria, so let it dissipate before starting. Once your water is ready, just drop a handful of dried plant material into the jar, pour the water over it, cover it lightly, and place it in the sunlight. You have to be careful with that cover. If you seal the jar too tightly, a condition called anaerobic stagnation sets in. This suffocates the oxygen-loving aerobic protists and produces a harsh, foul swamp smell. This diagram illustrates the fix. By keeping the lid loose, you ensure a minimal, continuous gas exchange between the jar and the room. Carefully managing the initial water chemistry by removing chlorine and keeping oxygen flowing ensures the invisible inhabitants can survive the shock of the setup phase. With the jar assembled, it needs to sit undisturbed in the sunlight for 4 weeks so the ecosystem can build itself from scratch. First, you'll notice the physical decay. The dried plant material breaks down and turns to soft mush at the bottom of the jar. Soon after, you'll see severe cloudiness, a thick surface film, and rising gas bubbles. The decaying plants dump a massive payload of nutrients into the water. This triggers an all-you-can-eat buffet for the microbes, and they begin eating, processing, and breathing at an intense rate. The murky water and rising bubbles are the measurable proof of a highly active biological community, metabolizing those nutrients and reshaping its own environment. As these microbes eat and breathe, oxygen levels drop and nutrient availability changes. This introduces the core mechanism at play, microbial succession, where shifting environmental conditions dictate exactly which organisms can survive. This chart tracks microbial populations over 4 weeks. First, fast-reproducing bacteria dominate, consuming easy sugars from plant decay. This changes the environment, inviting the second wave, ciliates, which eat the bacteria. Finally, conditions shift again, allowing flagellates to dominate the remaining resources. It plays out like a microscopic real estate boom. Each wave of microbes builds the infrastructure, exhausts the initial resources, and makes the neighborhood unlivable for themselves, paving the way for the next group's takeover. Because you are cultivating wild microbes, strict lab etiquette is required. Always wash your hands before and after handling environmental cultures, and thoroughly clean your microscope slides so you don't ingest swamp bacteria. The hay infusion models natural aquatic ecosystems that experience a sudden input of organic matter, exactly like a heavy drop of autumn leaves falling into a natural pond. Microbiologists use these exact miniature models in the lab to study massive environmental processes like global decomposition, large-scale nutrient cycling, and overall water quality. If a handful of dried grass can dictate which species live or die in a jar by altering oxygen and nutrient levels, consider what happens to our natural lakes and rivers when modern society introduces huge amounts of artificial fertilizer runoff all at once. It takes very little to flip an entire system. By understanding the microscopic battles happening in a single drop of water, we can evaluate and protect the health of the lakes and streams in our own communities.